You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group and co-hosts Uncle Mike Tusaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian from OptionPit.com, Andrew the Rock Lobster, Joe Benazzi from OptionPit.com, and Henry the Flowmaster Schwartz from SIBO. The Option Block is brought to you by SIBO. SIBO's suite of S&P 500 index options, SPX and mini S&P 500 XSP options, allows traders to speculate on the direction of the market, generate income, and hedge for downside protection of their portfolio of stocks. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.sibo.com/SPX today to learn more. The views expressed herein are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of CBOE Global Markets Incorporated or any of its subsidiaries, collectively CBOE. The information provided is for general education and information purposes only. There are important risks associated with transacting in any of the CBOE products or any of the digital assets discussed here. Before engaging in any transactions in those products or digital assets, it is important for market participants to carefully review the disclosures and disclaimers contained at www.cboe.com/US_disclaimers. These products and digital assets are complex and are suitable only for sophisticated market participants. These products involve the risk of loss, which can be substantial and, depending on the type of product, can exceed the amount of money deposited in establishing the position. Market participants should put at risk only funds they can afford to lose without affecting their lifestyle. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means it is Thursday. It is noon Central. It is 1 p.m. Eastern. You know what's popping off in these crazy tariff-driven markets we're all living through together? Well, let's find out together, shall we? It is time for the Option Block. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com. Hope you're having a good trading week. A lot more to come. Got today a full session, 2 shows coming at you. Couple more tomorrow. Second one, of course, if you're hanging out in the pro, you're going to want to join us tomorrow. Oddities is going to be another wild one. Going to throw some interesting stuff at you folks, mix it up a little bit, and maybe have some fun surprises. We shall see. So tune in for Oddities tomorrow after Vol Views. Where do you get that? Same place you get all the other cool pro shows, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. If you join up before Oddities, of course, that means you'll join up before the end of the month. That means your name is entered into the hat to win the March Pro Trading Crate. I'm seeing these things go out the door. Each one's kind of crazier than the last. So I'm just saying you're welcome ahead of time for all of you who are joining up in the Pro. Check it out. It's a good time. As we check out who's joining us on the old Thursday edition of the show, first we go out to the aquarium known as SIBO East, where we are joined by the Flowmaster himself, Mr. Henry Schwartz from SIBO. Mr. Flowmaster, welcome back to the show. Have they changed the sign, sir, yet? Does it say SIBO East when you walk in the door now?
Not yet, but I'm sure it's been commissioned. So, yes, I am happy to be here. Beautiful spring-ish day in New York. It's not not that cold. Markets are keeping us on our toes, that's for sure. And just doing my best to keep up with everything that's going on. I did coin a new term. I wanted to publish a piece on March volatility madness, which is coming out, but apparently March Madness is trademarked by the NCAA. So they said you can't use that. So I said, how about something like terrific volatility? So that one we might go with. I don't know.
Maybe you just take off the March and put volatility madness. Bam. There you go. They don't trademark madness. That's what we used to do with all of our broker stuff every March. We just call it options broker madness instead of March, and then bam.
Oh,
good. See,
okay, that's good to know.
There are ways around these things, Mr. Flowmaster.
I should have consulted you.
If you try hard enough. And speaking of a guy who knows his way around a thing or two, he is the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tusaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, always dodging hither and yon over there in the hinterlands. Mr. Uncle Mike, welcome back to the Option Block Thursday episode, sir.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to be on when we're talking about the terrific markets. I love that one.
All right, with the team assembled, let's dive right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
All right, listeners, let's get into it. The trading block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is trading out there. It's another one of those markets, listeners, where if you're not sure what the hell is happening or you don't like what's happening, again, I've said it before, just wait 5 minutes. You will have a markedly different market on your hands in the span of just a few minutes. We are seeing that unfold yet again today. We're red, we're mixed, we're kind of green, we're back to red again. We're in the latter category right now, listeners. The S&P off over 0.25%, closing in on 0.33%. The Dow off not quite 0.5%, about 0.45%. And the NASDAQ off about 0.33%. And our old pal VIX Cash getting a wee bit firmer as the session has progressed. We were at 18.25 not that long ago. Actually, we got below 18, 17.97 ever so briefly this morning. As we're kicking off the show now, a little bit firmer, 18.75, listeners, putting up about 0.5 point from where we started, and also about 0.5 point from where we were on the Monday show as well. VVIX adding 91 when we kicked off the show, puts it up about 7 points out there as well. So vol getting a little bit firmer out there as we're seeing a little bit more of a color we've started to become a little bit more accustomed to on the screens right now, which is red. That said, let's go back to everyone's favorite aquarium. If you can't see the video version of the show, which does not exist, at least not yet, listeners, you don't know what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, Mr. Flowmaster, sir, while you're busy swimming with the fishes, what's been catching your eye in a wild week and another wild day in the market, sir?
Well, it's definitely been interesting, right? So, yeah, and I think you're spot on in terms of like, the market doesn't know what to do right now. So, the anticipation of the tariff, the latest tariff announcement, really hit us pretty hard yesterday. We ended up down. At one point, it was looking, kind of close to 2%, although we rallied back a little bit. And I'm actually doing a zero DTE webinar later today for our friends at E-Trade, and the whole concept of kind of, is the market pricing in the risk? Is the market kind of correctly pricing the day? And so yesterday was an example of it was not. We had a $30 straddle in the morning in SPX, and by the afternoon we were down about 60 or 70 handles. And so, this is, in general, the market does kind of price correctly. So, we're in this kind of moment where it's not really clear. It doesn't feel like the market's pricing correctly. Everybody's kind of waiting for the next headline. And so, it's like we came in this morning, we were down again, but then we were up. Now we're actually kind of just trading a little flat-ish. But what's funny is the day before yesterday, I looked that we were absolutely unchanged from the straddle shortly after the open. So like you could have sold the straddle for around $35 today's Thursday, on Tuesday, and you would have made almost $35. We literally finished within a dollar of where we were early in the session. Yesterday was a total opposite of that. So markets, we know kind of volatility clusters, right? And I think everybody's struggling right now, just kind of to get their footing. And in fact, I was, our CEO was in town this week, Fred Tomczyk, and I asked him how things were, and he said it's a very uncertain time, and that's from the very top level. And so businesses kind of, it's hard to make plans when you just don't quite know what's going to happen, and that's all this new uncertainty. It shows up in our markets as volatility, and for traders, that have a good handle on how options can be used, it can be great opportunities. It certainly kind of helps come up with a lot of ideas on terms of how things are going to play out, and then you just kind of go and try to come up with some trades to express those ideas, as efficiently as possible within the risk constraints that fit your style.
Let me ask you, so far you pointed out some of the things you've been watching out there, but we do call you the Flow Master for a reason, Mr. Flow Master. Here we are. We're coming now. Hard to believe we're already winding down Q1 for the year. It's been a topsy-turvy Q1 so far. If you look back on the beginning of 2025 so far, are there any interesting trends that really stand out to you as you're parsing the options flow so far for the year? So any maybe interesting developments or things that make you stroke your chin and say, that's strange?
Well, we're running March volume, even though we've had a couple actually quiet days. Year-to-date volume, we're running around 58.5 million contracts. That's 10 million contracts a day more than 2024. So, and March is actually right around 59 million contracts a day. So incredibly active. The primary drivers really haven't changed in a few years. So, this retail, incredibly strong retail flow, right? So, the Robinhood, the Schwab, the Fidelity, community is just trading very, very actively. And then, single stocks actually in March, even though we actually, I think, are running at record volume for the indexes, SPX is, around 3.9 million contracts a day, and VIX is over 1 million contracts a day. It's the single stock space that is up even more sharply. So it's really kind of, these kinds of markets are what we're here for. It's probably why we have 18 exchanges too, because there is so much activity to go around. It's just, there's other trends going on, but really retail, the short dated options, 0DTE remains a very, very strong focus. And on moves like what we're seeing, where you have some of these intraday moves that are pretty extreme. The 0-day options are really, really useful. If you get caught on the wrong side, they can be really, really dangerous too.
There you go. Speaking of danger, this man knows nothing but danger. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, kind of a dangerous day out there in the markets. Not quite an Uncle Mike type of day, but then again, we wait 5 minutes and who knows, you might be singing your new all-time high thing again. What's been catching your eye out there today and since our last show, sir?
Well, if we can get a 7% move to the all-time highs in 5 minutes, I will be impressed.
That would be pretty impressive.
Yes, no doubt about that. But just looking at this from the markets as a whole, we're, like you said, Mark, we're ending Q1 on the year. We'll have roughly the rest of the day and then 2 more trading days left. And if we finish where we are, S&P's down roughly 3% on the year. And considering all of the headlines and everything that's gone on, and the fact that we're coming off of 20% positive years, I think that's not a bit. That's a pullback that even I can stomach something like that. So I think that's reason to be optimistic. Some other things that I'm seeing today. Silver is up over 2% on the day. Gold's up over 1%. I'm thinking that there is the fear of uncertainty, which that's one thing that we can be certain about. with what's happening right now. And I think that is kind of getting some people into the precious metals a little bit. We do still have an 18 VIX. And with the terrific markets, if you will, I'll be honest, I'm surprised that we don't have a VIX in the mid 20s with the uncertainty that's happening with these tariffs. And once again, I'll leave it at that. Some individual names with which we're keeping an eye on. I think it's important to just keep an eye on these things. Tesla is actually not moving much today. It's actually up 2% on the day instead of getting walloped 10 or 12% or having these giant moves like it is. It's actually having kind of a calm day for Tesla. That's probably the first thing that's sticking out to me. In terms of some other things, we have Google down 1% on the day, Facebook, or I should say Meta, down 0.6% on the day. Netflix is up 1%. NVIDIA, which used to be the big story of the market, even the tariffs have outshined NVIDIA for being the big story of the market. NVIDIA is down a little bit over 1% on the day. And so I think it's just important to continue to take a broad view of things. And when the dust settles, hopefully the bulls can be in charge again. That's my thoughts.
We shall see who is in charge out there in the markets today, listeners. Is it a banger? Are we popping off from a volume perspective? Is it quiet? Is it perhaps eerily quiet? Some might say too quiet. I guess we'll find out, listeners. Head out there to the major indices first. And, you know, that too quiet thing, if you were looking at VIX, you might say, hey, maybe that's a little too quiet. Not much going on out there in VIX land today, unless you get really excited, listeners, about 245,000 contracts on the tape. If you do, then maybe you probably work for SIBO and you love every single contract that goes up. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you because it's kind of quiet out there right now, especially when you see that the ADV is north of 1 million still, 1.14 million. So we got a long way to go before we're threatening that today. The big dog today, such as it is, 18,000 of the April 20s going up out there. Let's see. What do they go up for? April 20s. Yeah, about $1.50, $1.17 to $1.50. $1.14 looks like to $1.50. Are you down for some of those? Listen, including a block of about 4,100 for $1.50. Are you down for a little bit of April 20s out there? I know quite a few of you are. I know a lot of you like that 20 handle. It's kind of just a nice line of demarcation out there, listeners, for a lot of you out there. So there you go. If you want to get in on that level, that's the cost of doing business. Speaking of doing business, SPY is saying, you know, I don't forget about VIX. Who needs VIX? SPY just lighting up the tape out there yet again. Already over 6 million contracts as we're talking, listeners. 6.05. It wasn't that long ago. The ADV was about 8 million. So now we're putting that much up almost by the time we talk about it here in the show. So things are wild out there in Spy Town. The ADV reflecting that. The ADV is now a firm 11 million contracts a day. And yeah, it seems like it's on pace to hit that out there. Same deal in the S. Is the S looking hot and spicy? The answer is yes. About 2.15 million. So that's pretty hot for the S as well. The ADV about 3.9 million. So again, looking pretty robust in S land. Do we dare do it? Okay, let's do it just for fun. Top 20 in the SPX yet again. And you know what? Once again, we are 20 for 20. Nobody wants to play outside of today. It's all 0-day listeners, including 56,000 of the 57 halves going up today. That is your big dog, followed by 54,000 of the par, the 5,700 puts. So quite the range as we are hanging out a little bit shy of the 5,700 level in SPX right now. So those puts looking pretty active right now. Small caps lighting the world on fire. You know, they're looking decent, but compared to the other indexes, they seem a little light. 529 on the tape. Back when the ADV was 800,000 or so, that would have been a lot. Right now, the ADV is 1.64 million. So they need to get in gear if they want to hit that today. So small caps not really playing. But you know what? The NASDAQ, nobody told the NASDAQ it was supposed to be a sleepy day because 3.05 million on the tape for the NASDAQ, the ADV 5.25. So the Q's looking pretty hot out there today as well. Single names, listeners. Is it a banger? Is it a light up the tape type of day? The answer is no. I mean, 286, it's all right. I usually consider north of 300, probably closer to 350 as the respectable barometer, but it's not bad. Actually, let's expand it. Let's do a top 11 today, just for fun, because I see there at number 11, my old favorite, Uncle Mike's biggest holding, the name that is the barometer for where Brian Overby will consent to trade an option, wherever this name is trading. Yes, it's Ford. Your beloved Ford, maybe your hated Ford, the dumpster fire that is Ford. Number 11, Ford today, about $10 exactly, off about 30 cents. Obviously, all this tariff news, no bueno for Ford. They actually got lower. They got to 986, which I wouldn't mind seeing a little lower, so I can just roll my calls yet again. Aggressive overwriting has been the key to Ford of late, listeners. 278 on the tape for Ford today. So interesting stuff. Yeah, this talk about massive tariffs on not just cars, but also parts, spooking a lot of players out there in the auto sector today. Morgan now coming out, dropping their price targets for pretty much all of the big manufacturers out there on the auto side. So yeah, it's another wild time out there in these terrific, I'm going to do bad puns. If everyone else is going to do bad puns, why can't I play too? These terrific markets. All right. Number 10, let's get monstrous, or maybe not so much. It's a MicroStrategy, 321 and a quarter, off $8 exactly, or about 2.5% out there. So looking a little bit less monstrous today, 286,000 contracts. Let's see, year to date though, they are still up. They're still up about $21.5, or about 7%. So still up year to date, but they are given a good chunk back, even though it has been a decent month for them overall, up 34% over the past month. So good times for the last month in the monster, if looking a little bit less monstrous today. Number 9, AVGO. Where are they going today? They're going to 288,000 contracts, and they're going to the downside as well, off $7, 172.30, 3.9% to the downside today for good old AVGO. They've been going